oral Torah is Hashem's explanation that comes along with the written Torah. Okay? Now, why would Hashem do such a thing? Right? Why did Hashem set up a system why didn't he just write it all down? Like, why did he write totafot? And then he said, I'll tell you in the oral Torah what totafot are. Why did he make it so that it doesn't tell us how to get married in the oral Torah? I had to tell us that. Right? Why did he use these same letters to mean two different words and not tell us which one's which? Right? Like, is this some kind of sadistic game? Like, what's going on? Because I'm going to give you 3 answers of why Hashem did this. Why did Hashem give a written Torah and an oral Torah? Right? Why didn't he just write it all down? Okay, the first most practical answer is that, well, the first and second answer really go together. Anybody here studying law? No? Okay, then I can say anything I want to. Okay, so in law school, right, how do they teach law in law school? First of all, they learn the law book. Right, and then what else do they have? They have classes and classes on what's called case law. What's case law? Good. Right? Case law is actual cases that came up and what the court ruled. Right? So first they'll learn the law says do not kill. And then they'll learn a case where somebody killed somebody by accident and the court ruled that they weren't guilty. Right? Now, why waste their time like that? Why not just change the law and make the law say don't kill on purpose? Because what? It depends on the circumstance. Okay, first of all, it depends on the circumstance. Second of all, laws, it's a very interesting thing, cannot be, no matter how hard you try to write everything into the law, there will always be, but what about this case, and what about this case, and what about that case? Right? If you write don't kill, somebody killed somebody by accident. So we say, okay, fine, don't kill on purpose. So then somebody killed somebody on purpose, but it was because they were trying to kill them. So we say, okay, no, don't kill on purpose except in self-defense. So then somebody is trying to shoot a rubber band at someone else and they turn around and shoot him in the head. So we say, no, don't kill on purpose except in self-defense if somebody else is trying to kill you. And then, right, somebody kills somebody in a war. We say, no, war's different, right? And the law is just going to keep on changing and changing and changing. You keep writing more and more and more. You say, okay, but what if I didn't kill them? I just unplugged the machine that was keeping them alive. And what if I didn't kill them, but I tricked them into going to this place where I knew somebody else was going to kill them? And what if they were already underwater and I just kept them there, right? All kinds of questions that could come up. And if you just keep writing the law longer, it'll just keep getting longer, but you'll never include everything, right? So why is that? It's a very interesting thing, right? Laws are not rules. Laws are principles. This is true in every legal system. Laws are principles, right? Did you ever play the game where you play like, I'm going on a picnic and I can bring bats but not gloves, and I can bring balls but not chairs, and I can bring boys but not girls, and I can bring blue things but not green things, and I can bring my friend Bob but I can't bring my friend John. Right? Anybody catching on? What can I bring? No? I can bring bottles but I can't bring cups, and I can bring books but I can't bring cars, and I can bring brown things but I can't bring, and I can bring also black things but I can't bring green things, right? And I could bring boots, but I can't bring shoes. What can I bring?
Only things that would be.
Good. Right, so then somebody else jumps in and says, anybody ever play this game? Somebody else jumps in and says, oh, I got it. So I could bring, give me something else. I could bring beer, but I can't bring alcohol. And I say, good, you've got it. And then she says, right. And I'll give you another example. You could bring my friend Donnie. And I say, no, you can't. You don't have the rule yet. Let's keep going, right? Because there's a rule that's under, we're just talking about lots of cases, but there's a principle underneath. And we're trying to get to the principle, right? So that's a simple principle, so I could just tell you the principle. But some principles are very, very complicated, and there's no way I could tell it to you. All I could do is tell you a lot of cases, and you will work backwards to figure out the principle on your own, right? I taught this once, and somebody taught me something. There's apparently a profession, if any of you are looking for a job, right? There's apparently a profession. Now, I have to finish the sentence before you get excited about what this is, right? There's a profession called chicken sexing. Anybody know what chicken sexers are? Chicken sexer's job is to determine the gender of a baby chick as soon as it's born. Apparently the whole poultry industry is dependent on these people who, the moment the chick is born, they separate them out and say, these are the males, these are the females. The problem is that apparently there is no identifying mark on a chick that tells you if it's male or female. Right? It's not as simple as it is with some other animals that just tell if it's male or female. You look at a chick, and there's nothing about it that you could say, look for this. If you see that, it's male. If you don't see that, it's female. Right? So how do they do it? So if you want to learn to be a chicken sexer, there's no textbook that says, and here's figure A, right, is a male, and you can see it. We can tell by the size of its beak. Or there's nothing like that. All there is you do an apprenticeship. And you go watch somebody who's a chicken sexer, and they say, see this one? That's a male. See this one? That's a female. See this one? That's a male. See this one? Another male. See this one? Another female. Right? And the apprentice says, how did you know that? And he says, look at that. You can just tell that's a male. He says, but could you show me which? He says, I can't explain it to you. I just know that's a male. Right? And he's right. Right? So the apprentice, after watching this for a long time, says, okay, let me try. This one's a male. The professional says, no, you're not there yet. Keep watching, right? And eventually the apprentice says, let me try again. This one's a male. And the professional says, good. And this one's a female. And this one's a male. And now all of a sudden the apprentice is an expert, right? And the apprentice becomes one of the professionals, and then they can teach somebody else. But the only way you can ever teach it to them is by just taking them through it, because if you try to explain it to them, you can't, right? So reasons number 1 and 2 why there had to be an oral Torah. Number 1, it's just too much information. No matter how long the written Torah was, if you just kept making it longer and longer and longer and longer and longer, there's almost an infinite amount of information. You just can't ever make it long enough, right? But number 2, which is really the reason why that's true, is because you can't write down a principle. And what the Torah is principles. It's not just it's not a rule book, a bunch of bullet points. Do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. Right? So the principles couldn't be written down, just like law systems can't write down their rules either. They have to say, okay, here's the rule, but let us tell you what we determined about this case and that case and this case and that case. By the way, in American law, right, whenever they're not sure about the law, what do they always try? When the law could be read in 2 different ways. It says don't kill. So what about people who kill accidentally? Well, I don't know. It could be don't kill means don't ever kill. Or it could mean don't kill means don't kill on purpose. How do I know? Well, but how do they know?
Because of other people's experience.
So what they always come back to is they say, I have to know what was the intent in America. They say the intent of the fathers, right? Which means what did the people who wrote this law mean, right? The founders of the Constitution, right? What did they mean when they wrote this, right? So that's what we're talking about, right? That what does this verse in the Torah mean, right? You have to know not just what it says, you have to know what it means, right? And that's what the oral Torah tells us. Now, I'll tell you something else interesting. Right? There was a very famous professor of ethics who lived in England. He was at Oxford University, right? One of the best universities in the world, right? And he was the chair of the ethics department. And this professor was a true story. This professor, I won't say his name, but this professor was fired. Why was he fired? He was the head of the ethics department, the greatest ethicist in the world. You know why he was fired? Because he had an unethical relationship with one of his students, right? And he got caught. So they fired him. So he appealed it. And he said, I can't understand why you're firing me. I'm the best ethicist in the world. I'm the chair of the department. I'm doing a great job at my job. They said, that's true. But you're unethical. How can we have a head of the ethics department who's an unethical person? So he famously answered, do the professors in the geometry department have to be triangles? Right? I don't have to be ethical. I just have to be able to teach ethics. Right? Now, was he right or wrong? He might have been right for teaching ethics. Right? But if he had been talking about teaching Torah, he was definitely wrong. Because Torah, by definition, can't be learned from somebody who's not trying to live it. Right? You've all been to a Shabbos meal. Imagine somebody trying to teach you what Shabbos was without you ever experiencing Shabbos. Right? And they would tell you everything about it. They tell you all the laws, and they tell you the traditions, and they tell you what it looks like in a religious home, and they would tell you all kinds of things. But you never actually sat at somebody's Shabbos table. Right? You'd never understand Shabbos. Right? Torah must be taught by somebody who at least is trying to keep Torah. You can't learn Torah as an academic exercise. Right? Somebody in the geometry department can teach you what a triangle looks like, right? But a teacher of Torah must be somebody who's trying to live Torah. Because they're not just telling you the information, they're teaching you a way of living, right? There are stories in the Talmud, which again, we'll get to what the Talmud is. There are stories in the Talmud of students trying to follow their rabbis into the bathroom, and even a student who hid under the bed of one of his rabbis in his bedroom, right? Now, in all of those cases, the rabbis told the students that they went too far. But what did the students say? The students' defense was, Torah hi v'lilmod ani tzarich. It's Torah, I have to learn, right? I'm very sorry that you want your privacy, but how am I supposed to learn how to do something? You want me to read a book? I can't learn Torah by reading a book. I've learned Torah by watching a living, breathing person do it, right? So they were told there is such a thing as privacy, and you can't go that far. But everything else in the world has to be done that way. You can't just learn it by reading a book. You have to learn it from somebody who themselves is living it, and they learned it from somebody else who was living it, right? So Hashem guaranteed that it would always be that way by keeping some of the Torah oral, right? That way, when they said, when Moshe came down and the people said, okay, what does the Torah say? He would say, well, here's the Torah, but I have to teach it to you. I learned it from Hashem, right? And I have to teach it to you because you have to see me not just reading over the textbook, but living the information, right? Actually living the life. And then you understand what Judaism is and what Torah is. And now you can live it, and then you can teach it to people, right? So that's another reason why Hashem made some of the Torah oral.